Will the aldermen please take their seats? I'd like to start the meeting, please. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Monday, June 6, 2022. This is the June meeting of the Milford Board of Aldermen. Please join me as we salute our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, will you please take the roll?
Alderman Archiola.
Present.
Alderman Beatty.
Alderman Beatty would like to be excused, Madam Secretary.
Alderman Broster.
Present.
Alderman Casey.
Here.
Alderman Gurman.
Madam Secretary, Alderman Gurman would also like to be excused.
Alderman Gennatasio.
Here.
Alderman Harla.
Here.
Alderman Marlowe.
Here.
Alderman Moffett.
Here.
Alderman Mulrennan.
Here.
Alderman Picelli.
Here.
Alderman Parente.
Alderman Parente would also like to be excused, Madam Secretary.
Alderman Vitro. Alderman Vitale.
Here.
Alderman Willis.
Here.
12 are present.
I'm sorry, Madam Secretary, how many present?
12.
12. Thank you very much. Mayor Blake, I believe you have a presentation for the board.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. There are groups and organizations and teams that represent Milford and bring our community much pride, and tonight we are graced with two of those groups of young Milford citizens. I would like to call each of these two teams up individually, starting with Milford's Mojo. Team Mojo, come on up. And Team Mojo has represented our community very well, and on behalf of the City of Milford, I do have an official proclamation which reads, whereas Team Milford Mojo participated in the 2022 first robotics competition Rapid React. The challenge was to build a robot that could pick up a 10-inch ball and shoot it into a target 8 feet off the floor. Over the course of 6 weeks, the team collaborated to come up with a prototype, design, and then build the robot. And Team Mojo was the event finalist as part of the #2 Alliance at Waterbury District qualifying event, where they were also presented with the Team Spirit Award. The team next attended the Hartford District qualifying event and were #4 Alliance captain. Again, they were presented with the Team Spirit Award. This event propelled the team to the New England District Championship. They were number 7 Alliance captain and received the Judges Award with acknowledgement that Team Milford Mojo impressed the judges with their tight, inclusive community, upholding the team motto, one team. Team Milford Mojo's performance at 2 New England District events qualified the team for an opportunity to attend the FRC World Championships in Houston, Texas. And whereas Team Mojo, comprised of members PJ, Juan, David, Joe, Maria, Devin, Jordan, Veda, Katrina, Nathaniel, Christian, Tuyan, Luke, Peyton, Austin, Sam, Violet, Jay, and Noreen, together with mentors Chris and Lori, Selma, Adriana, Seth, Alan, Jennifer, and Andy, assembled a winning combination through hard work, dedication, and enthusiasm. Now, therefore, I, Benjamin Blake, Mayor of the City of Milford, on behalf of all the citizens of Milford, do hereby extend congratulations to Team Milford Mojo. Keep up the great work, ladies and gentlemen. Nice job. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause? And ladies and gentlemen, their counterparts, I'd like to call up Milford's marvelous masterminds to the front of the auditorium. Also a force to be reckoned with. And for their accomplishments and the pride that they brought to this community of Milford, I have a proclamation which reads, whereas First LEGO League team, Milford's marvelous masterminds entered the 2021-2022 First LEGO League's challenge, Cargo Connect. The challenge was to identify a specific problem related to making the transportation journey of products better. And whereas Team Masterminds consulted with a representative from Lay's, they watched videos regarding the chip processing and packaging. They compared different chip bags and breakage between those bought and those that came directly from the factory. Team Masterminds collaborated to create the Hangotator, a device that could be used to transport chips from factory to store. A prototype was constructed and tested. And whereas Team Masterminds attended the Where's Walcott event, it's a qualifying event in November of 2021, and received a presentation award for their project and placed 3rd in robotics performance. The team then attended the Connecticut State Championships in December 2021. Team Mastermind won the state championship for robotic performance, placing 1st in the robot game. And whereas Masterminds embraced the First LEGO League core values by encouraging friendly competition and helping one another through teamwork. And whereas the Masterminds team, comprised of members Zachary, Tristan, Ryan, Marley, Jason, and coaches Chris and Lori, assembled a winning combination through hard work, dedication, and enthusiasm. Now, therefore, I, Benjamin Blake, Mayor of the City of Milford, on behalf of all of these residents, do hereby extend a great big congratulations to Team Milford Marvelous Masterminds. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mayor Blake. The next portion of the meeting is devoted to public comment. Statements are strictly limited to the legislative function of the Board of Aldermen. Please use every effort to limit public speaking to permissible business of the Board of Aldermen. The time limit granted to each speaker shall be 3 minutes. Residents, taxpayers, and electors may address the board at this time. The board encourages speakers not to express derogatory, insensitive, or offensive statements or to engage in personal attacks against individuals. In order to allow everyone an opportunity to speak, I'd ask that everyone please limit their comments to 3 minutes. Anyone wishing to address the board can do so at this time. Please speak your name and address clearly for the record. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Deanna Jacobs, 14 Darina Place, Milford. On May 15th, a Sunday, I had to call the police station, and I wanted to know what was going on in the center. On Darina Place here, all around, all the municipal parking lots were filled with cars. And it wasn't just that, it was waking up at 8:30 in the morning to muscle cars making, I'm not gonna do it, big noises, levitating everybody who wasn't already awake on their way to church or whatever out of their beds. I got a nice policeman in traffic, and he said, oh, they've been doing this for years. And I said, well, it's way bigger. It's all the municipal parking lots are flooded here. And till when? What organization is this or whatever? And he told me it's the Cars and Coffee Group, and they have a permit to do this. Okay, so they'll fast forward to the next day when I sent a letter to one of my aldermen, Ellen Beatty. And I wrote, hi Ellen, hope you're healthy, blah, blah. Living in center of Milford, which Mayor Ben wants to portray as walkable Milford, is great with all the new crosswalks. But before COVID, a group of car people would meet up on a number of Sunday mornings in the parking lot of the city-owned building where Scratch Bakery used to be, 4466 River Street, and starting at around 8:30, this whole downtown residential and business area with 2 churches trying to hold services would be woken, interrupted with muscle car engines being revved, the parking lot of that building and the parking lot in the courthouse's spaces filling up. This meetup, which must have been posted online, goes on until around noon. The hazards to people walking to and from church, dog walkers, other Milford residents in this area is great. I've seen cars flooring it up many of the one-block streets, West River, West Main, Prospect, all around. I've seen them flooring their cars up and down these streets, around the duck pond, ignoring crosswalks, barely stopping for the many stop signs. This goes on for a while since those attending this meetup do not leave at the same time. The Goodies Restaurant Classic Car Group meets, and they're held on Thursday evenings. That's a fun event and no risk to anyone. I am somewhat of a motorhead myself, growing up with a dad who was a service manager of a Buick agency, many mechanical engineers in the family, and I've chatted with people gathering at these times. When I called the police station yesterday for information about this group, which I want to research more, let's see, and I was told they had a permit for holding this. To me in my neighborhood, this would be, let's see, sorry, I have a lot to read. Contact information for this group to find out how many more Sundays they want permits for, but mostly important, what other city-owned spaces they could relocate to or other options they can get a permit to use. I know the Connecticut Post Mall is privately owned, but to me, so is 4466 River Street. And I want to know if a permit is used for that. That's private property, isn't it? That's a question I want to answer to. I I don't know if a fee has to be paid to get a permit from Milford or elsewhere, but I will find out, since unlike most of my neighbors, I do have, or I'm making time to do this. Is there a quicker way to find this information? If the city has a list of venues that require permits, which department has this list? Neighbors are saying they will sign a petition to fix this problem. Car enthusiasts are enthusiastic people, and it's great that they gather, but this is not the place to do it. Okay, so in a few hours, I got an email, let me get into that, from Justin, Mr. Rosen over here, because apparently Ellen had sent it to him. And,
Excuse me, ma'am, are you ready to?
Is my 3 minutes up?
You're way over 3 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Well, this has been going on, and it's gone to the Parks and Recreation Department, which I've been at a meeting to, because Justin said, your recreation team is looking into this. But we need another place for this.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Tanner Gleason of 89 Naugatuck Avenue. I moved to Milford in 2016, and as someone unfamiliar with the area, I was quickly sold on my property due to the proximity to Walnut Beach. For the first few years, it was the perfect beach community every summer. However, since the repaving of East Broadway, Walnut Beach and its surroundings have turned into a chaotic mess each summer. It is completely unacceptable for a town park to turn into a place of drunken and disorderly crowds, blasting music through 300-watt PA systems, and getting in violent brawls with our police. Many neighboring shoreline towns have faced similar challenges with town parks and beaches over the years. By now, most of them have put in laws and policies in order to protect their town property. The most obvious measure is to control parking. Most of our towns have implemented higher cost daily parking for non-residents. For example, Jennings Beach of Fairfield charges $50 a day for non-resident parking on weekends. Shady Beach of Norwalk charges $65 a day for non-resident parking on weekends. And Campo Beach of Westport charges $70 a day for non-resident parking on weekends. Furthermore, most of these beaches also limit non-resident parking to 100 parking spots on weekends. Yet Milford charges a mere $20 a day for non-resident parking and sets no limit, in addition to free 2-hour parking. The ugly, though necessary orange fencing installed last week has worked well in keeping the park safe and under control. However, I think everyone here would agree that it is an eyesore. I believe the town should replace this with permanent fencing. I work in the insurance property estimating field, and I've calculated the average cost to remove and replace the old post and rail fence with a 6-foot vinyl chain link fence at around $22,500, or about $38,000 for 6-foot PVC fencing. Either of these would present a better option than what is currently installed and would likely end up saving the town money in the long run due to reduced police labor and annual installation and removal costs associated with the temporary fencing. Lastly, the police cannot turn a blind eye at underage drinking and blatant open hard liquor containers. There's a clear difference between someone enjoying a cold beverage on the beach, sitting with friends or family, and the outright chugging of handle bottles of liquor at a public park. When I moved here, I believed Milford would be a town that I'd eventually raise a family in, though I would never consider doing so if the town continues on this path with its public parks. To close, I'd like to thank the board for listening to my thoughts. I hope you consider some of my measures here, and I hope everyone has a nice evening. Thank you.
Good evening. James Maroney, 22 Saranac Road. I'd like to start by congratulating the masterminds and especially Lori and Chris Saluga for all the work that they put into the robotics team and that they've put into building that program over the past years. With that said, I'd like to speak in favor of an item that you have on your agenda tonight, accepting the funds for phases, I would say, 2 and 3 of Founders Walk in downtown Milford. I'd first like to thank Mayor Blake for his vision in making Milford a more walkable city and all of the work that's been done in downtown. Downtown is truly the heart of Milford, and it helps to bring us together. In phase 1 of Founders Walk, we redid a roadway along the side of the harbor in between the harbor and the library. And at that time, we were able to secure a grant from the Realtors Association to look at a long-term vision, right? To not just do something that a few years later would be torn apart and someone else would do another thing. And so I'm here today that on behalf, to thank the rest of the Milford delegation who worked with me. We worked jointly to secure $2.7 million in funding from the state so that we could finish off the Founders Walk project. I would like to thank Justin Rosen for putting up one of the pictures on there so that you can see. There are really three key aspects of this. One, safety. I was downtown this weekend at both Pirates Day and at the Duck Race, both events. We have a lot of people gathering downtown and a lot of families. One of the things is we currently have an active road that goes right past the bottom of the footbridge, and if you're bringing a stroller across, you're bringing a stroller out into the middle of an active road. And I saw several times where the cars were trying to get through groups of people who are walking down the road. What we'll be doing is relocating the road and making the walkway extend all the way along the harbor. So that'll bring it to the, so that's a safety issue, as well as realigning two of the baseball fields parking lots. Right now there are two lots on different levels, and if you've ever been there on a Friday night, you may not even be able to get a fire truck through there, heaven forbid there were an emergency. It'll be realigning those parking lots and putting them on one grade so that it will be a safer parking lot. We will not lose any parking spaces there. Second, environmentally more friendly. You do not want impervious surface alongside the harbor. It leads to runoff going into the harbor, which can be detrimental to the oysters, to lobsters, to the other marine wildlife. And then third, it's really an economic development project. Studies have shown that developments in downtown areas yield the highest return in a town, in downtown mixed use. But it's also an investment in improving the quality of life and giving us another gathering place downtown, as it'll be less pavement along the harbor. It'll be walkway with more trees planted and more benches so that more people can enjoy the access to the harbor, as well as hopefully relocating the farmers market down there and other potential economic development issues. So with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you for hearing me. My name is Andrew King. I live at 32 Cedarhurst Lane. Every day, my Ring doorbell app goes off showing another car that's been broken into in town. Several weeks ago, a man stealing catalytic converters at the Post Mall parking lot, assaulted a man who saw him. 2 weeks ago, a murder was committed on Edgefield Avenue. Last week, we had a riot so bad, law enforcement from surrounding towns had to be called in to help as two of our officers were assaulted and robbed. We were lucky it was only their cameras that were stolen. This is why I was glad to hear that Alderman Genitaccio of the minority party put forth an amendment to the town budget to add 4 new police officers. What I was not happy to hear is that this amendment was voted down, along party lines, with one of the majority voting to abstain. From the outside looking in, this seems to me at least that one of the majority wanted to vote for Alderman Genitaccio's amendment, but were forced not to vote against his party. From the outside looking in, this seems to me like we're playing politics. I truly hope that we are not playing politics with our public safety. Thank you for hearing me.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Parkin, 5 Francis Street in Milford. My wife and I moved here almost a year ago. We've come to love the town, so much so that I'm now the Republican candidate for the 118th District for State Representative. Along with the last speaker, I am appalled at the disrespect shown by the alderman toward the police department. To me, it's an outrage that the police do not get the accommodation of their needs. The Democrat faction along party lines has refused to budget the staffing that the department has requested. To me, public safety is one of the most fundamental roles of government. and denial of the needs of the police is an outrage. I'm a former federal law enforcement officer, and I take this issue very seriously. Now, since my wife and I live just off Milford Point Road, if you don't know where Francis Street is, the recent melee at Walnut Beach brings safety very close to our home, literally to our home. Between that episode and, as we've been hearing much about, the catalytic converter thefts and other property crime, my confidence that the aldermen are responsive to the community's needs for safety is shaken. So I implore you to stop playing politics, revisit this issue, and respect the requests of the police department for additional funding. Actions on this matter will not go unnoticed by voters and candidates. Thank you very much.
Hi, Terry Smith, 90 Snow Apple Lane. I just want to thank everybody for all of your time. I know that these aren't simple jobs. I know what it's like to build big budgets. It's extremely exhausting. I'm sure, lose sleep over what you're going to make decisions on. So I respect that, appreciate that. I am concerned for my particular neighborhood. So I live right across the street from Orchard Hills School. I actually live almost immediately across from it, and there's a sign that no longer reads anything. It's just literally blank yellow sign that I'm assuming says something like, don't park here during certain hours. It obviously hasn't been kept up, and we have a crossing guard who I don't know if they're responsible for enforcing, who's supposed to be responsible for enforcing those parking rules, but you're not supposed to be parking on the road where the school is during school hours. It actually covers my driveway, so I'm very hyper aware of it. My neighbor and I are extremely concerned for the safety of small children. Parents will park there. You can't see if a kid's running. I literally can't even pull out of my driveway safely during school on onloading and offloading. So I feel like I have to just not leave during school hours because it's literally not safe for children. So we've called the police. My Cindy Woodford, my next door neighbor, has called the police several times, talked to the cross guard several times. They come to the site, they enforce it for one day, and then they leave. So they don't come back until we call them again. I can only think that, logically, that it's not the police department's intention to just not address this or care about it. I would have to think that it's a lack of resources. So when we call the police department and they cannot address a serious safety parking issue in front of a school with our most precious assets, which is our small children, I think that we're low on resources. So I am to the point now where, when I was having children, young children, making the decision of where I'm going to live, where I'm going to raise my children, I was proud to choose Milford. Today, I'm not. Today, I'm nervous to take my children to the beach. Today, I'm nervous to go to the mall with my children. We do all of our shopping online because I don't want my car to get broken into. I don't want to be assaulted. Fights breaking out at the malls. At the beach, this wasn't a one-time new thing. This happened last year. My son knows people who were involved in the fights last year. So we knew that, yet we made this decision to not fund the police like they needed. It's honestly embarrassing. And then also in terms of the school, people probably would park on the street on Snow Apple Lane, but there's no sidewalks. So once you get past my sidewalk, there's literally no sidewalks for the whole way. So I'm assuming people aren't parking there because they cannot safely walk their children to the school. So if someone could please make a note to check that out, obviously I think that that's a very important safety issue. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Thank you. My name is Joan Walker. I live at 679 Wheelers Farms Road. I stand before you as a widow. I'm a senior citizen. Tonight, I am here to encourage the leadership of this city. of Milford to undergo anti-racist training, like yesterday. I stand before you as a black widow of a former city employee whose name 2 white city officials attempted to use to raise money. When I heard about this, I contacted one of the officials. I didn't know who the other one was. I contacted one and I expressed to him that this would be disrespectful and divisive to raise money in my husband's name that way. That city official had days to think about doing the anti-racist thing or the racist thing. Sadly, he disrespected my wishes, and 9 days later, he went with the other official at the 5th District meeting, talking about this as if they had my approval. This disrespect of a black woman whose deceased spouse served this town for 28 years should not go unnoticed. What that city official did was disrespectful, and for me, as a black woman, it was hateful. He had days to think about this. This wasn't a mistake. I already said I didn't want his name used. He did not apologize to me for the part he played in this deception and disrespect. I really thought that I was dealing with 2 scammers. Look, we all love this city. I love this city. I have my grandson with me. The city of Milford can no longer afford to live in what I would term willful ignorance on topics of racism, engaging in racist acts, and just your general knowledge of knowing what does it mean when someone chooses to do something against another person because they think they may have the power over someone else. I would like to say that I was racially oppressed. I still feel traumatized. Every time I talk about it to other people, I think I traumatize other people too. Because this is what it boiled down to me, that I had to beg for my family's name not to be used 2 times, not once, but twice. No excuse can fix the damage, but I think we can work in an intelligent way and be civilized to each other. As I stand here as a black woman, a registered voter, a taxpayer, and a senior citizen. And the reason why I come before this body is because you represent the town of Milford's leadership. And I believe, and I hope you do too, that you believe that good leadership leads by example, which means you all have a job to do. Mr. Chairman, I sent you an email, and I did ask questions in that email, and I got no response. So when we look at that, it's almost like you're saying what was done was okay to me, and it really isn't okay. Now I'm asking you all to please look into this. You know I can be a good resource, and I'm not begging to do your work because it's hard work, and that's probably why you don't want to, but you have to do it. When we think about how the demographics are changing, that you cannot be dismissive of some people in this town and take care of others. You, Mr. Chairman of the board, you have a lot of power. You're seated in a powerful position, and we need you to kind of listen to this and do some work on it, because you can't make mistakes. People would like me to believe that that person made a mistake, but when I stop and think that he had 9 days to think about this, and I nearly begged for him to tell me who that other person was, and I asked him not to do it, and he did. So it broke a lot of relationships, and that's not right for a resident to live in this town and feel like she's not welcomed or she's going to be used. I hope I hear from you. Thank you.
How you doing? Walter Hagedorn, 61 Judith Drive.
I was watching last Board of Aldermen meeting, and I was disappointed that we had an opportunity to address the people of Milford by hiring 2 more police officers, and we chose not to, and I'm disappointed in his board. And the reason I came out tonight to talk was last Friday, my wife walked in and Stop and Shop, East Town Road, at an attempted robbery. A guy was trying to walk out with a carriage full, and elderly ladies are trying to stop the man. We need police officers. The police commissioner or the chief has asked for them, but our city just ignores them, and that's not right. We need to address this and go back and talk on it. It's your board that does this, and it's your responsibility to protect the people of Milford and do the right thing. And elderly women should not be trying to stop criminals at Stop and Shop when they're just getting their groceries. What if it was your grandmother or somebody there? That would just be wrong. We have the opportunity, and all you do is have to look on the Ring app. If you don't think there's a lot of crime increasing, it's almost daily and nightly that cars are being broken into, bikes are being stolen, everything, and the police officer can't handle it. What is there, 5 police cars out on the road a day? Something to that aspect? I mean, that's not enough. Please consider going back and addressing this issue and not just brush it off because of political reasons. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Murphy, 708 East Broadway. I moved here when I was 6 months pregnant with my son as a single parent. Milford is a beautiful community. I chose this community to raise my son. We've been here about 8 years. But I'm here to say it does not negate the fact that we have had an obvious increase in crime. The #1 investment should be our police department, because they give the community the safety and security that we deserve. Many of us here love the city of Milford. One of the greatest assets are the people who serve the community and keep us safe. I hope that you're going to revisit giving the police department the respect and the resources that they need to keep our community safe. I love Milford. I want to continue to raise my son in Milford, but I don't want to be afraid to take my son to the beach. I don't want to be afraid to take my son to the mall. I don't want to be afraid to park my car outside so that I can spend a $1,000 deductible every single time my catalytic converter might get stolen. And by the way, you have a family in Milford that had it happen to them 4 times. One time, it happened at the mechanic, so they didn't have to pay for it. Their deductible was $1,000. $3,000 out of their pocket they had to pay because the city of Milford does not have enough resources to handle the amount of crime that is hitting our community. But Milford is a beautiful community. I'm not gonna not say that because it is. I do want to continue to raise my son here, but we shouldn't be afraid to go outside and enjoy our community. You want to say something? You want to say something? He's afraid. Okay, he wanted to say something, and he told me that he's like, "Mommy, I want to speak." He wanted to say he deserves to be safe in his community. So I want to thank you, and I really encourage all of you to please revisit the resources that the police department needs in order to keep our community safe. Thank you, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lee Leper. I am a homeowner at 54 Nicole Drive. My family and I moved here over 20 years ago from Bridgeport looking for better schools, a safer town, lower taxes, shopping, and the beauty of Milford's harbor and shoreline. We love this town, but a lot has changed in the last 6 years. The town is overrun by excess building of housing, apartments, condos, and townhouses being put wherever contractors want them, and thus ruining the quaintness and spaciousness of this town. Planning and zoning and the mayor's decisions to keep constructing buildings, especially in the center, are terrible for this town and a disappointing problem. Why, I ask, is this being done? Then I thought and realized why the mayor always stresses before every election that he keeps taxes low. Keep building to raise the taxpayer's base at the expense of crowding the current residence space in order to keep taxes lower, despite ruining the open spaces throughout our town. Crime is another problem, major problem. The Republican town aldermen have tried to add 4 more police officers highly recommended by the police chief that are needed, but the mayor says it's not in the budget. Yet the city wasted city money on the building next to the Orchards golf course for a convention center, and nothing was done with it except to waste budgeted money. A very poor decision, in my opinion. Look at the travesty at Walnut Beach, and a day later, the senior skip day. Both were out of control, and 3 towns and University of New Haven police had to come to help. Those 4 officers needed were not there. Once again, not in the budget. Also, after bars close in town at night, unruly, intoxicated people litter and wake up residents in town. More officers could help, but once again, not in the budget. Finally, out-of-town cars are parked in areas for stickered residents only. Don't ticket them, tow them. Get the point across. Many streets in town, especially in Settlers Ridge, which I cut through to go to my home almost every day, there's no parking this side. Signs all along the whole road. Always 4 or 5 cars there. Never ticketed. We don't have the officers to do that. Not in the budget. Elected board officials and those paid are to start listening to the voters and represent them and not themselves. Either the mayor and the board members need to change their viewpoints, their personal ones, and step up to do something that the community demands, or resign and let somebody who will. The Democratic aldermen, control of that board, and the planning and zoning both need to step up and start making individual decisions on their own to benefit the residents of Milford without the influence of town officials. There is so much more to bring up, but 3 minutes, I'm just going to get out and let somebody else speak. Thank you for your time, and please act on what I suggest for the sake of the future of this town.
Good evening, Bill Bevin, 23 Merlin Circle, Milford. Good evening, board, Chairman Vitro, and invited guests. I'm here just to remind you all, kind of like where you came from. You were all elected by approximately 10,000 people in each one of your districts to represent that district, and then later on to represent the city of Milford, which you all know and what you do. I'm going to read something from the city charter on section 6 of the Board of Aldermen on page 9, and it reads, "The legislation power of the city shall be vested exclusively in the Board of Aldermen, as herein provided. The Board of Aldermen shall have the power to enact, amend, or repeal ordinances not inconsistent with the laws of the state or of the United States, to create, regroup, consolidate, or abolish boards or commissions, departments, and offices, to define the power, duties, and responsible therefore, provided the same are not inconsistent with the charter or the general statute." And this is the important part of this City of Milford Charter. "And to provide for the preservation of order, peace, safety, health, and welfare of the city and its inhabitants." I just wanted to bring that to your attention the next time something comes up to be voted. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening. This one's easy. My name's Kurt Anderson. I live at 60 Audubon Close. I'm the acting president of Audubon Manor Condominium Association. I became president back in January. I am new to Milford. This is my 3rd year here. And I'm trying to get our ducks in a row over there. And one thing I came up with was in trying to get our recycling and carting bids in order, I discovered that the city reimburses only for 3 vendors, approved vendors. And I have 25 years as a general contractor. I oversee bidding contracts and vendors at Yale University. And to approve just 3 vendors, where I come from, that's a red flag. I think we need to open that up to other responsible and respectable vendors that are in the recycling and contracting business. So I don't know who I need to speak to, but I certainly hope you consider that. Thank you.
Good evening. Ken Fallenbaum, 182 Forest Road in Milford. My wife Deborah and I moved here September 1978. We love Milford, wonderful community. Thank you for your service and also for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. In my years of being in Milford, I served on the police commission for 16 years, and I was a chairman during the time when the search was made for Chief Mello. Used to see aldermen there at a lot of our meetings. I'm happy to say that that search was done with integrity. We did not have the issues that you see in the 2 neighboring towns. We selected a very good chief. We have a very good department. 15 years ago, I advocated that we add 4 police officers, 1 a year, because I would be reading the reports of the activity of the department. And while the attendance of the city population did not change that much, the number of people coming to Milford or traveling through Milford exponentially increased because of the mall. I think we're the car capital of Connecticut and a lot of other things. The incidences of crime that have been increasing recently is just another indication that we really do need more police officers. The police do the very best that they can with the resources that they have, but I think we're all concerned about what we see as a national trend around crime and the disrespect of police officers and of issues of crime and safety. Crime and safety, public safety. My grandfather was in law enforcement. I used to, when I was a little kid, used to have to run to keep up with him because he was used to walking beats. He often quoted J. Edgar by saying, "Politics and policing do not mix." Politics and policing do not mix. Public safety is probably the most important issue of any government, whether it's local or state or federal. Public safety, if people don't feel safe, and I've said this many times, if people don't feel safe, nothing else matters. And that includes people's taxes, because they expect from their taxes that public service like policing is provided for. So I would appreciate if you would at least, if you can't do 4, do 2, maybe you do 1 a year, whatever, but I really think you need to revisit this issue. Thank you for your time.
Hi, Cheryl Smith, 53 Pomona Avenue, Milford. I was born in Milford. My children were raised here. Now my grandson is. He attends Pumpkin Delight School, which we love. We're right by Walnut Beach. I do not feel safe bringing my grandson to the beach. We need more police. We need something down there. It's, you know, it is horrible down there, okay? It's terrible. The schools, we have officers in the middle schools and the high schools. We need something in these grammar schools for these kids. God forbid it hits Milford, just like Sandy Hook, just like Texas. We have nobody to protect our little kids. We need to do something. We need to revisit the budget. We need 4 more officers. They can only do so much what we have there. So I would really appreciate, you know, your parents, I'm sure you have grandchildren. God forbid your kids in that school. You're gonna break through and try to save them. So I would really appreciate if we get some more police officers. Let's protect our town. Let's protect our beaches. We want our kids raised here, not like this. Thank you.
This has bothered me all night. Good evening. I'm Jeannie Cavallaro from 109 Siemens Lane, Unit 25. I am also president of Milford Condominiums Coalition. I've spoken to you several times, and I was quite disappointed that I never heard back from the aldermen that I emailed the information that was requested. I find it hard to believe that a group of people with your knowledge base didn't have the common courtesy to respond. I realize that the budget got passed, and there's probably nothing that can be done about the ordinance that's in place. My question really to you is, if there had been 50 condominium associations that were 55 and older, would you have given that additional money and paid $100,000 more? I think you really opened a can of worms with the 7 condominiums that you gave that additional money to, and now you have some very unhappy taxpayers. It's not a debt issue to the condominiums. I hear about it all the time when I meet with people, and we are going to meet and continue to come back to you and ask you to revisit that ordinance. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Wendy Torrenzio, 24 Ard Court. I'm the current president of the Walnut Beach Association. I'm here to speak on behalf of our association and the Walnut Beach Arts and Business Association that work together. We are the community leaders in Walnut Beach, and everything we do is for the betterment of our community, and everything that we've created has made Walnut Beach that much better with our incoming businesses, with the events that we've created and have been successful with. That being said, we know there was this terrible destructive behavior that happened with youth, young adults, maybe they're underage. They came from different towns. Maybe some in our town joined in. I was not there. However, it has to be addressed much better. And we know it's been a pattern of May and June. These kids want to bust out. They just want to go crazy. It gets out of control. Why they come from other cities, I'm told, is they feel like Milford doesn't act upon doing anything, and they're not going to get arrested. And again, all these people speaking, it seems that having enough police really is an issue. And we want to keep our community safe, number one, absolutely. But these events that we do, and our residents and our community people should not be punished. It should be those who created this terrible thing, these children, these youth that have no respect for our community, have to pay the price. They have to be found out who they were. They have to be arrested. They have to be told this is not allowed. This will not continue to be allowed. So what do? Of course, more police presence would help. Building a wall, as suggested, I think needs more consideration than shooting from the hip. If you build a wall and make a single exit in and out, it can be a safety hazard potentially if someone in there, in our crazy world has a gun, a knife. I mean, that becomes a safety hazard. So I don't think that's really the answer. And we've seen as a pattern, after these 2 months of May and June, it doesn't happen. Maybe an occasional disturbance here and there, but not this big kind of a mob scene. What we need is just to be prepared. We know this happens now in May and June. Be prepared ahead of time. Have all that presence ready to go in May and June. And yes, we are with you. We want this safety. We want this to be good. We want our events that we have created, like the summer concert series, the farmers market, the annual cornhole tournament, be able to be there, do what we do, and have a fun time and a successful time for our community, ongoing as it has been. So we hope that you consider what we really need is the police presence and the security, and not a wall, just more attention to these youngsters that, for some reason, decide to be disrespectful and destructive. I don't know why, who knows why in this world, but obviously we need that security. So I thank you for your time.
Hi, good evening. My name is Nancy Burke. I live at 75 Milford Point Road in Milford. I also own a business, the Bee's Knees Cafe, probably one of your most favorite places to go to, at 17 Broadway, right next to the Walnut Beach Creamery. I've been in business there for 3 years and I just absolutely love the community. I've lived in Milford for 13 years and, can't say enough good things about Milford. There's a saying that goes, a crisis can be an opportunity, and that Walnut Beach situation, that out-of-control situation, was a crisis as far as I'm concerned. I can totally echo what everyone has said about the safety piece of it all, and I've had a couple thoughts, and, we down at Walnut Beach, Susan Patrick is like a mentor to me, the amount of work that goes into Walnut Beach, and I'm kind of honored to be, having a landlord like that and somebody who cares so much about Milford. And, when she had me, prior to me signing my lease with her, she had said, I really want somebody in here who will be part of the community, who will help out and volunteer. And I know I can always do more, but there is a sense of, I love Milford. I love our community. I love that Walnut Beach area. I love how eclectic it is. I love that people look out for each other. And I had a thought, one of my kids, when she was in high school, she worked at Seaside. She was a lifeguard there. And because Milford wasn't hiring. And so, what worked down there was a big police presence. It always was crowded, but there was a big police presence with the police on ATVs. Sometimes they were on horses. But it was very rare that there was major incidents going on there. It was, you had to get, when you'd go to the gate, there's a couple different gates, but you'd go to the gate. Sometimes they would check coolers. There just was a more, kind of systematic way. And that's a big city, this past weekend was very busy, and I had a lot of customers coming in saying, please do something about, this gate or walls or whatever. It's going to affect our walks. There's so many people who take advantage of what Milford offers. This beautiful state park connected to, a city beach, and people love that walk. And, I think, again, I love what everyone was saying about the safety piece, and I think that does include, getting very thoughtful about what the solutions could be and should be. We have great police officers. I'll sometimes say to them, I'm 60 years old. I know I don't look it, but I'm 60 years old, and I'll say, I'm scared of you. Like, if they come into my shop, I'm like, it wasn't me. I have that respect still. And, there's a lot we can teach our kids. There's a lot the world's different. But, I think if we have this, just this attitude of everyone's welcome, but riffraff is not. And so, you know, I think the safety piece is important. And I'm not deterred. I'm always going to be at the beach. This is not going to deter me. But we need to look out for each other, and we need to do the right thing. And I thank you for your time.
Hi, good night, everybody. My name is Kim Thompson. I live at 6 Stowe Avenue, and I'm approximately 4 blocks away from Walnut Beach. Totally appalled by what happened. I don't believe a fence or a wall is the right solution, though. I would like to see more police presence in the area. We've been asking for that for a long time. I would like to see more enforcement of the rules that are in place. And if we need more police to do that, then so be it. We need to get more police to do that. We need to keep our citizens safe. We need to show that we're a great town. This is not something that's going to be repeated and accepted. And I've gone through Citizen Police Academy. I know that Chief Mello's got his heart in the right place and loves Milford very much. So if he's asking for more police, I think he needs more police. And more enforcement. I'd like to see some tow trucks down there. I'd like to see some action as far as people or police walking around, vehicles around, and just, I think enforcement. The rules are there. We need to enforce the rules. We need to show that we mean business. It's not acceptable. We're not going to accept it. We need to come down hard, but I don't like the wall idea. I don't think it would work, for one thing. You could get into the beach from at least 5 different ways without using that way of egress. I am afraid if we ever have an emergency, people would not be able to exit in time. And I think that's a joke to the people who are doing these things. I think they'd probably just laugh and scale the fence anytime and take it as a dare. I do believe that we need more police down there, though, and I do believe we need to curtail the alcoholic beverages and the loud music, because I can hear it from my house. That's not fun. Thank you for your time.
Simon McDonald, 35 Wood Avenue. Been living in Walnut Beach, Wildermere Beach for 20-something years. I can tell you it actually feels safer to be now than it did when I moved there. When I moved, the end of Naugatuck had had alphas, so that was unsafe. And then they had the police in their big truck there every Friday, Saturday night. Never really seemed to do anything. We had our fights anyway. I had a knife fight in my driveway. There was a escort service down at the end of Naugatuck Avenue. I mean, it was nasty. The house I bought had hatchet marks in it. It used to be a heroin dealer's house. So, I mean, all this talk about Milford not being as safe as it was 20 years ago is hooey. I work in the mall every single day, never seen a fight. I've never seen a fight. I park my car there every day. It's a nice enough car. It's not a Mercedes or anything, but it's a nice car, never broken into, sitting there all day, every day. A wall, not going to do a darn thing. If you want to put a couple more cops down there during June and May, I think it would make sense, and definitely arresting a couple of kids, putting them in some cuffs, letting people see that you will get arrested if you're drinking underage at a Milford Beach. That's a good idea, but I don't think you needed more cops. So, thank you, that's my thinking. And no wall, it's not going to help.
Hi, I'm Susan Patrick. I live at 660 Gulf Street, but I own a business down in Walnut Beach. Just really quick, I know everyone's tired of, but I just want to thank the city because in the time that I opened my business, the beach area has been improved over and over again. I mean, it is nothing like it was when I first opened the store. It is a beautiful beach. As Nancy said, with that kind of nice space, sometimes you have a crisis, and the crisis is that kids like going there. I think that, number one, we can anticipate from social media when this is going to occur. I think I think it's very easy to track when these high-risk situations will happen. I think that we can put things in place and call them high-risk responses that will help diffuse it. I think You have to diffuse it before they get down to the beach with alcohol and with music. You can't expect the police to help in those situations are just too unmanageable. So I think there's a lot of ways that Walnut Beach Association, Walnut Beach Business Association would love to work with the city and study the situation more, maybe have a volunteer committee to come up with some suggestions, ask concert venues, ask other towns how they manage this problem. Like we said, it started really badly in 2020 with COVID. It is May and June. It is just particular days, and nobody wants to be there on those days. But otherwise, it is an absolutely beautiful place to be, and I'm really proud of the area. So I think the wall needs to be studied. By the time it's built, this summer will be over, and I think it's something that we have some time for a long-term solution like that, and really think it through before we put it in, because there are many ways. And the other thing, just one last thing, just keep in mind that it's really wonderful how Walnut Beach is a beautiful beach connected to a state park, connected to a business corridor. It's very unique, and with that comes special challenges, but it's also a really nice thing to have. So I don't want to lose that, with any rash decision. So that's it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm John Drapp, 41 Jackson Drive. I've been practicing law now for a few months shy of 19 years. And during that time, up until about the last 2 or 3 years, a substantial portion of my practice was in the area of criminal defense. All over the state, really, but concentrated in Fairfield and New Haven counties, which is the courts in Stamford, Norwalk, Bridgeport, Milford, New Haven, Meriden, Derby, and Waterbury. I had contact with police departments from all of the towns that are serviced by those courts. And as you might imagine, in criminal defense, I heard a number of complaints about police officers and police departments generally. But I stand before you tonight because Milford, notably, and I've thought this for some time even before I moved to Milford, not one complaint ever about the Milford Police Department or its officers. Not one. In fact, sitting in the room where the attorneys gather across the street, waiting to talk to state's attorneys, I remember a story about someone who's now retired, you probably would know him, but I'm not going to use his name, talking about how one of his clients actually commented, he was a career criminal, conceitedly according to this attorney, he commented that he had never been arrested by a more polite and professional police officer than right here in Milford. And you know what I credit that to? I credit that to leadership. I credit that to the chief. But I'm no expert. You know who is an expert though? Chief Mello. This board has heard that Chief Mello is not only held in the utmost regard in this state, but nationally. And what did our expert, Chief Mello, tell this board on April 25th? Told this board a lot of things. He told this board that when comparing 2019, he said he did not include 2020, that was the primary COVID year, but when comparing 2019 with the 12 months immediately preceding that hearing, robberies were up 100%, larcenies were up 27%, car thefts up 81%, thefts from motor vehicles up 10%, gun crimes up 25%. Assaults were down, so that's certainly good, but purse snatchings went from 0 in 2019 to 15 in the 12 months preceding April 25th, and catalytic converter thefts. I'm sure you probably remember this because it's a statistic I couldn't believe. Catalytic converter thefts went from 1 to 260. The chief talked about there being many demands on the police department, and this is a quote, "It's very difficult to police in 2022," and that I have no doubt about. He talked about officers having to be ordered in to cover additional shifts, and that was having an impact on those officers' quality of life, morale, and mental health. Mental health is a buzzword that we've heard a lot about, right? If we're having mental health issues with our police officers, well, ladies and gentlemen, there's a storm a brewing. He also talked about the violence and disorderly conduct at the beaches. And again, this was April 25th. This was before Memorial Day at Walnut Beach last week. He talked about the shift of police presence to the beach areas, but he talked also about the manpower and how intensive the demand was on the department. He requested 4 more officers, essentially 1 more per shift. But that was zeroed out in the budget. And then Alderman Giannatasio offered an amendment to put him back in the budget, and that amendment failed. That's frankly mind-boggling, ladies and gentlemen. During COVID, how many times did we hear that we're going to defer COVID decisions to the public health officials, both locally and at the state level, right? Perfect. They are the experts in public health. Our police chief is an expert in law enforcement, but he was not recognized when he made that.
Sir, I just want to let you know you're over 4 minutes.
I'm done, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your indulgence.
Hi, my name is Phil Lorenzo. I'm 121 Oak Ridge Lane, Milford, Connecticut, live up in Lexington Green. I just want to say I appreciate the breadth of issues that you guys have to handle on a monthly basis. I have been coming to this meeting for now 4 months in a row for our issue, and some of these issues that you hear tonight may not compare, but I just want to reiterate essentially what has happened with, I want to say 3,600 taxpayers are affected by a decision that was made by the Board of Aldermen regarding trash rebate for homeowners that pay for their own trash. And the issue is a senior community of 55 and over was given preferential treatment over the rest of the homeowners that are private ownership throughout the town of Milford. And when that hit the news, 3,600 taxpayers said this is not equitable. So we came to this meeting looking for equity, and even last month there was a request for information which we supplied, and also there was a motion to reopen the issue, which I thought that would push the issue a little bit further. Sadly it hasn't, and no one has reached out to either of us to say what is going on. So I am a president of my homeowners association. I sit where you do when my homeowners come in on a monthly meeting. One of the key things that we try and do is when somebody does approach us, we want to make sure we engage and we go back to them and say, this is what's going on. Even if it just means we're researching it. It just gives that feeling of somebody's listening to me. So I just want to, again, compliment you for doing your jobs, and I just want to hope that you look at this issue and somebody does reach back out to us in order to look at this issue more closely. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the board? Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman? I'd like to request a 5-minute recess, if that's all right. 5-minute recess.
That's what he's talking to.
Recess is over. Alderman Harla, agenda item number 3, consideration of minutes for the regular meeting held on May 2nd, 2022.
I'd like to consideration of the minutes for the regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen held on May 2nd, 2022.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 5, there was no special meeting. Agenda item number 6, Chairman's report. Just want to commend everyone for all the activity there was over this weekend. I don't know if any of you saw Mayor Blake with his pirate outfit on. It was quite the scene to be seen. Anyways, the other thing is I want to wish all the fathers here on the board and all the fathers listening in and seeing this meeting a very happy Father's Day, and wish everyone a great day. Agenda item number 6,
Mr. Chairman.
Mayor's report and recommendations.
Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Giannattasio.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I do have a question to you directly based on the public comment that was here tonight, just for purposes of information. Jocelyn Walker said that there was an email sent to you directly. I never saw the email. Was that email intended to go to the full board?
That email never meant to me either. Never went to me either.
So you never received
Never received an email.
From Jocelyn Walker? Okay, I'm just asking only because I never saw the email and I didn't know what she was referring to, and she indicated that it went to you, and usually you do forward the emails over to the full board.
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
thank you for defending me.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 7, Mayor's report and recommendations. Is there a report from the Mayor?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I respectfully request your consideration and action on those items listed in the agenda 6A through 8H. It is my great privilege to announce a mayor's exclusive appointment to the Housing and Redevelopment Board. That is under 6A, and I would like to announce the Reverend Jake Miles Joseph of 18 Pearl Hill Street, 06460, as a member of Milford's Redevelopment and Housing Partnership to fill the present vacancy. At the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that you call him forward so that our city clerk can administer the oath of office with the other members that will be sworn in this evening. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, I do know that there was much discussion in regard to the police department. I know that we discussed this during the pendency of our recent budget presentation. There was discussion about how there are crimes that are up, crimes that are down. Milford is right at the same level in terms of some of those property crimes that have been spiking. For example, one of them that has been brought up this evening has been catalytic converters. That's one of those crimes that's up across the state of Connecticut, perhaps across the nation. One of the ways that the city has responded this year, our police department has retooled, and they are addressing some of those shifts in the types of crimes. You heard that some crimes are down, some crimes are up. They are retooling, they are setting the tone for how that is happening in the state of Connecticut. We are a leading police force. This past year, we have increased police spending at a greater rate than we have in the last 20 years. This past year, we have increased police department spending at a rate greater than we have in the last 20 years, over 10% increase. The city of Milford is a safe place. Do we have crimes like our neighboring communities, like communities all across the state of Connecticut? Absolutely. Was there a specific incident at Walnut Beach Memorial Day? Yes. And we've responded. We did not sit on our hands. We have retooled, just like this board does. Whenever there's an increase, this board, the city, we adjust. And we did just that. We came up with a series of beach management protocols to respond. In recent years, this board has done something very similar. For example, you changed the ordinances for when the beach opens, making it from Memorial Day to Labor Day to May 1st to June 30th, increasing the rate for out-of-town parkers from $20 a day to $40 a day. This last week, there was unruly behavior at Walnut Beach. It was not a staffing issue. We had 10 police officers at Walnut Beach when this incident happened. There was a pre-orchestrated event that was advertised through social media. That's something that will not happen again. We've made adjustments in our parking restrictions on weekends, on holidays, and those days that we have tracked social media. There will be adjustments to who can park at the main parking lot at Walnut Beach. It will be limited to residents only. If you do not have a resident sticker, you will have to park in one of the outside kiosks outside of the brand new perimeter that we've installed. What Walnut Beach does not have is a single access point. If you look at larger beaches in surrounding communities, whether they be Jennings Beach in Fairfield or Short Beach or even Silver Sands, there's really one main access point. We are limiting that, hardening the perimeter around it. Will it stop everyone? No. People can walk in on the sandbar. The sandbars below the coastal jurisdiction line are available for anybody to walk. However, the majority of folks can be limited if the beach captains or the police department require that the beach be closed down because there is the pendency of an incident. We've retooled how we staff the beaches. Again, we had lots and lots of police officers on the incident in question, but we are retooling how we deploy those officers, where each of them are stationed, where our beach captains are stationed, where we have beach rangers. All of that is going to make sure that we adjust and address some of the issues that came forward. I'm just providing this update. There's going to be other updates to come. If you look at how the beaches were managed this last weekend, it was restrictive, and it's going to continue to be restricted until we can ensure that everybody is safe and that we are not going to have any of these incidences that rise up. So we're doing the best we can. Our Public Works, our Recreation Department, our Public Works is on it. They have changed the way that we manage beaches. To some degree, it means that it may not be the same experience. It's going to be a tighter experience. But at this point, that's what we have to do. It'll still be a family fun experience, but we are going to be making sure that some of that fun is cracked down on. And I don't know how else to say it, but for the foreseeable future, it is going to be closely monitored at Walnut Beach. Milford beaches are something that we all appreciate. Milford is very proud of its 17 and a half miles of coastline. It is our greatest asset. At the same time, it is a challenge. You heard from folks from Walnut Beach Association. They have made Walnut Beach into a vibrant destination, a place that people flock to. People come because of the farmers markets and the concerts on Sundays. However, we have to make sure that with all those new people, that everybody is safe. And that's what we're doing in turn. And we're going to continue to do it. We're going to continue to make sure that that Walnut Beach destination is a safe one. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer any of the questions that do come up during the course of the meeting.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Alderman Vitale.
Through you to the mayor, please. It was sad as to what happened. I think we all agree the fact that hopefully it will never happen again. But you know, common sense, public reaction. You say that we increased the budget for the police department, but when you don't see manpower, the average individual out there doesn't know probably we increased the budget for other purposes. We find that that particular day, I happened to go down to Walnut Beach, my own experience, and you said there were 10 cops down there beforehand. There had to be, I couldn't describe to you how many people were down there, especially on the fishing pier. They were shoulder to shoulder from the end of the pier to the beginning of the pier. That was just the pier. You couldn't get to the other side of the pier if a cop wanted to. So having 110 cops or having to call the other police departments in for help was obviously the thing to do. What happens between Silver Sands and Walnut Beach? There's no barrier to stop it. We also hear on the radio that Silver Sands has been closed down because there's an overflow of people. They close it down. But they have the freedom of moving over to Walnut Beach, Mr. Mayor. Is there anything going to be there as a barrier or a police presence or some kind of human presence there?
There is going to be a personnel presence at that line of demarcation between Silver Sands and Walnut.
That's really good. But the fact is, the mantra that we heard tonight was police presence should be increased, public safety, enforcing the laws, checking coolers, alcohol, drugs or whatever they bring in, increasing parking fees. We heard all of that. You know, as leaders in one way or another within the city, if there's no fear, there's no respect. There's a fine line between fear and respect. Fear that you're going to get arrested, the fear that you're going to be in some way determined that you should leave that place or whatever. So that fear, that fine line between fear and respect it needs to be there. And the perception is reality. If we don't increase the number on the force, we can say all we want about what we did with the police department and increasing their monies that we gave them this year. There is non-compliance, there's no respect in the people coming in, and the fact is that these were, in one issue, one individual indicated the fact, why do they come to Walnut Beach, why do they come to Milford? Because laws are not being enforced. We have skip days of people coming from out of town here. And now are we going to be dealing with our own skip days with the law on foreign also coming in the future, in the coming weeks or whatever? So these are things that we have to think about. These are things that have to be done, but we need to be proactive instead of reactive. We could do all we want at this point, but it still happened. We can learn from our mistakes, but we need to be proactive because we've had these situations happen before. So thank you for all you're doing, and I hope that things work out as far as the plans ahead. Thank you.
Moving on to the agenda.
Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Vitale. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Again, I know that this is not a back and forth, that this is just supposed to be a report and that we have other opportunities to go back and forth. But just to respond, as part of the largest spending increase in the last 20 years for the police department, we do have some new members of the police department. We've moved up the hiring date for the police parking officers. 4 new ones will be hired within the next several weeks. It was supposed to be the next fiscal year that those were going to be hired. We've just recently hired 2 social workers to help manage some of the issues in town for the police department. We have a class that is in the police academy right now that should fill the vacancies. And there was just an announcement today by the police department that they are hiring laterals so that we can more quickly fill vacancies in the police department. So all of those things should address some of the issues that were brought up today and that you just put forward.
Mr. Chairman?
We need to move on to the agenda.
I just would like to...
Are you going to repeat what Alderman Vitale has to say?
No.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Mayor Blake, thank you for the update. As you know, based on public comment, these things are reoccurring. Your initial response to the situation on Channel 12 was to hire 4 more parking attendants. You didn't even address the issue that the police were assaulted and their body cameras were removed. I would like to request at our next Board of Aldermen meeting to have the police chief come before us. And I would like to get his perspective, his update, his professional opinion. He's the expert on how he seems to think this should be handled. I don't necessarily have 100% confidence when it comes to with you in regards to public safety. I feel like you're out of alignment. I feel like you're trying to do a lot of different things, but you're not addressing the issue of more police presence. So I would like to hear from the police chief. I respect you taking the time through your report, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to make this request. But if our chief of staff could reach out to the police chief, I think it's prudent that he comes to our meeting and he updates us, because then we're going to really know what's in place. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, the comment was made that public safety should not be political. Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, Alderman Jeannie Cavallaro is making a political mockery out of our public safety. Instead of pushing forward with real ways to resolve issues, he's parading members of the Republican Town Committee almost exclusively. Those are the speakers that came today. Members of his political party who he put out a all call for to make this a political issue when it is not. This is about the safety of the citizens of Milford. And Alderman Jeannie Cavallaro.
Mayor Blake, you're not addressing the issue. You're not addressing the issue. It's not political.
The only people that you brought forward.
You're making it political here tonight. Please, what you're saying.
Moving back onto the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your comments under Mayor's report. Agenda item number 8, there is no unfinished business. Moving under number 9, moving on to new business. Alderman Harla, agenda item number 8A.
Agenda item 8A. The Board of Aldermen approval is hereby requested for the appointment of Dylan Mark, 48 Nob Hill Road, as a member of the Harbor Commission to fill the present vacancy, term expiring December 31st, 2026.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? There's a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Alderman Willis.
Did we vote on 6A? I don't know if we...
Mr. Chairman, 6A was an exclusive mayoral appointment.
Right, did we vote? I don't remember voting.
No. It doesn't require a vote.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. We don't need to vote on that. My bad, thank you.
Then agenda item 9B, Alderman Harlan.
Agenda item number 8B, the Board of Aldermen approval is hereby requested for the reappointment of Richard Smith, 59 6th Avenue, as Milford's representative to the South Central Connecticut Regional Water District Representative Policy Board, term expiring June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Costs.
Thank you. Yes, that was part of a follow-up question, just the grant funds that are there right now. Do we anticipate that those would cover the cost of either one of these projects? And we're just not sure about that yet, right?
Again, through my conversations with Public Works, the WEPWOG project, that should be sufficient funds for the entirety of the work remaining. For the Founders Walk project, it would be likely that there will be some additional local contributions associated with that. If we need to come back for additional funding, it would be through you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Is there any more discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Harla.
Item number 8F. Board of Aldermen approval is requested for the acceptance of the grant and aid in the amount of $1.5 million from the State of Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection to redesign the roadway and parking lots at Wilcox Park, Founders Walk, and authorize the Mayor, Public Works Director, Finance Director, and City Attorney to take all steps necessary, including signing all documents to effectuate said grant and aid.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Alderman Giannattasio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, Senator Maroney indicated in his presentation that we weren't going to lose any parking spots. And I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's what he stated. And he also said that the way the road was going to be rerouted, it was going to be a safety benefit based on what's there today. So I just want to make sure that those things are followed through with, because I think those are probably the most important things other than the aesthetics of the walkway. So as long as there's reassurance that that's going to happen, then I would support this. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Harla, agenda item 8G.
Agenda number 8G, the Board of Aldermen, approval is requested for the attached resolution, cash advance for Wilcox Park and Founders Walk grant and aid.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Alderman Marlowe.
Again, through you, Mr. Chair, to the Mayor. Mayor, just with the cash advance, does that mean we will be generating the request for proposal, or is that soon that that's going to happen?
Mr. Chairman, through you to Alderman Marlowe, it should be fairly soon that we go out to solicit designers. Because this is state money, there are some rules and some hurdles that we have to make sure that we stick with, including going through the QBS system, which is quality-based selection for design teams. And also, there are state requirements when you, for example, we have to ensure that we are paying prevailing wage for contractors that are ultimately hired.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Chairman, also just a comment. I wanted to just say that I think both of these projects are going to be a great benefit to right behind the library and on the other side of the river there. So it's going to be a nice project when it's done.
And I know that there were conceptual plans that were put up for Founders Walk. The concept for the Wepwag River Walk is to go down the area where Prospect is, to go up into the street and make sure that that area is connected. You do see a sidewalk to nowhere right now at the beginning of Prospect Street where the fire station is. That was phase one. That will connect with the walkway that we're envisioning that we do have grant money for. We do have to get some permits through DEEP because the anticipation is that a portion of that pathway is going to go beyond the coastal jurisdiction line, and we'll need some permits if we need to cantilever over a little bit to put a pedestrian pathway in that area.
Thank you.
Alderman Vitale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, that was my question to that bridge abutment and the sidewalk to nowhere, which is going to take a left almost into the river. We have enough room back there to do that stuff?
There will be a connection. It'll be a combination of a river walk and new sidewalks along Prospect Street. So it will not be a river walk the entire duration of the WEPWOG, but a portion, but it will all be connected, yes.
But my concern is it'll go around the abutment, either cantilevered out on a platform kind of thing, or on land, because I don't know if there's any land there, is there?
That's what the proposal is. Again, it's going to be subject to DEEP's permitting.
Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Harla, agenda item 8H.
8H. Board of Aldermen approval is requested for the attached resolution, cash advance for Weepwog River Walk Grant and Aid.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 9, new business not on the agenda, which may be introduced by 2/3 vote. There,
Mr.
those
Chairman.
present and voting. Alderman Giannattasio.
I'd like to bring up an item under new business. I'd like to request on our next meeting to have a visit from the police chief with an update on public safety, staffing. I think that in light of what's happened here tonight, I think we owe it to the citizens of Milford to have an open discussion with the police chief, the expert. So I put that forward under new business. 2/3 vote, we can get it on the agenda for next month.
Mr. Chairman, through you, if this board wants to make a formal vote on it, that's fine. But administratively, I'm happy to invite the police chief to provide us a report if he's available, or if a member of the police department is available.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor Blake, with all due respect, I would like to bring it to a vote. I think that will show public confidence that we want to have the police chief here, because, you know, it's not that I don't trust you, but sometimes we effectuate things and they don't get done. So I'd like to bring it to a vote. Thank you.
Recess. We're out of recess. Alderman Archiola.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do feel that...
Mr. Chairman, there's been a motion that has not been seconded to add new business to the agenda.
It has been seconded.
I didn't hear a second.
It's seconded.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor and a second to add it to the agenda.
Yes, sir.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Roll call vote, Madam Secretary.
Go to discussion.
Anyone has a discussion on the motion?
Well, yeah, can we discuss the motion?
Yes.
We had a motion and a second. Now we're into discussion.
I would like to just discuss the motion before we call a vote, if that's all right. It's my opinion that Alderman Jeannie Cavallaro is needlessly making the issue of public safety political, but I am the chair of the Public Safety Committee, and as that, I would be open to inviting the chief here to answer general questions about public safety, because obviously that's on a lot of constituents' minds, and I think we can I think we can answer a few questions that have been brought up today.
That's good enough for me.
Mr.
So the chairman of the Public Safety is going to personally invite the chief to the next meeting.
So if I hear you correctly, through you, Mr. Chairman, to Alderman Archiola, the proponent of the new amendment, I'm making this political? Is that what you said?
I feel that with respect, I don't want this to come off as adversarial,
well,
but I do feel that you've painted this with a sense of urgency that maybe misrepresents the situation. The Milford PD themselves have posted today that they are now accepting lateral transfers, which would fill every single vacant position in the department, which would fill not just 4 vacant positions, that would fill every vacant position. And so putting 4 new policemen in the budget wouldn't resolve anything. That's just spending more of the taxpayers' dollars and spending more of the taxpayers' dollars. I think that's artificially creating a sense of chaos and urgency and giving a false sense of chaos in our city. So yes, I feel that that's making it political, but I do feel that we can invite the chief here to answer some questions. And when Chief Mello came to speak to us, he was primarily speaking from a morale position. The streets weren't going unpatrolled. It's not that the city was descending into chaos. He was having to deny time off or allowing policemen vacations. I would say that was more of, I think having the policeman he needed was more of a, I'm trying to think of the word I want. Yeah, it was more of a morale issue than it was a safety issue. And in my opinion, I felt that you pegged it as more of the streets of Milford aren't safe to walk, which I didn't feel was fair.
So just to follow up through you, Mr. Chairman, Alderman Archiola, I'm asking for a meeting just like now you're asking for a meeting. So I don't see that being political to invite the chief to the Board of Aldermen for an update. I think that's just best practice at this point. And I'm not trying to paint a picture. I talked about this before the budget at the public hearing that I was in favor of putting the 4 police officers in the budget. I just didn't create this. I've been saying this for probably 4 months now, and this is through the police chief's recommendation. So, I know that you're new here, and I'm going to give you a free pass, but it's not political, okay? This is what we do, all right? So if you don't want me to call the meeting, because obviously that's political, right? It's got to come from your side because you're the chair of public safety, then have at it. Let's call the meeting. I just want to get them here, but you never want to give us the credit. Now, since the budget, you had a murder, you had chaos down at Walnut Beach. Alderman Willis said putting 4 police officers in the budget was reckless. I mean, stop. Let's just get the police chief here and we'll hear from the expert. Thank
Alderman
you.
Harlow.
Through you, Chair, Alderman Gentasio, you got your meeting. The chief will be here next month. Let's move on, okay?
I appreciate that, but I don't really appreciate the tone. You know, we're in the minority, we need to be heard.
I understand.
And, you know, we're just trying to do the best for the people that came here tonight, that took the time out of their lives to come before us,
Do we
okay?
have the meeting or we don't? We have the meeting.
Well,
Let's move on.
What's meeting?
We didn't vote
I don't
on it.
know.
I don't know. I don't
All right.
know what is the meeting, so
Back
I
to-
don't know. I have no idea. So I'm,
We just propose the chair of the safety committee
Mr. Chairman,
to bring the meeting forward. Yes or no?
vote a no. I don't know.
We didn't vote no. We just requested that the chair of the safety committee, right, speak to the police chief and ask him to attend our next meeting. That's what we agreed to.
You voted
So
no.
let's move on. Fair?
Next item on the agenda
Mr.
is
Chair,
item number 10.
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
we
Chair.
have a motion and a second on the floor, Mr. Chairman.
We have a
Point of
discussion.
order.
Alderman Vitale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, this is going back and forth. It's senseless. The mayor just agreed to bring the chief into the whole body. I really oppose going into the safety committee, because I'm not on the safety committee. I'd like to ask questions too. So I think for common sense that we all agree that the mayor comes to the Board of Aldermen meeting. The Board of Aldermen meeting rather than the safety committee meeting. I mean, what are we afraid of?
Mr. Chair, point of order. I believe that.
Wait a minute.
I believe Alderman Artiola was saying.
Alderman Vitale has the floor.
Asking him to come into this
One
meeting.
speaker at a time. Let's have a little order in here. Have a little respect as well. Both sides.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just think that it's common sense that we all have an opportunity to hear what the police chief is saying in real time. We don't have to have a report from the safety committee to come back to us, go back and forth. He's here in full body. The mayor had agreed to bringing him on. We wanted a vote on it to put it on the agenda, a simple common sense item. Now we've unlayered this like the CIA is involved here to make a decision. The point is, I'm totally opposed. I want to be involved. I want to represent my constituents. I want to represent part of the city that is most and is affected by some of these crime issues. So, I mean, if you people out there in TV land know what's going on here, it's ridiculous that we're nibbling at things. Come to the full Board of Aldermen, period.
Alderman Harlow.
Through you, Chair, to Alderman Vitale, I think there was a miscommunication perhaps. The chair of the safety committee, Alderman Arcudio, is going to invite the chief to our meeting.
Misunderstanding.
So it was misunderstood, whatever it was, but it was simply he was the conduit for the invitation to the chief to join us next month.
Clarification is Matt Archiola is going to invite the chief to come to the full Board of Aldermen. Okay, then that clears it up. Okay. I thought, my understanding was he's just going to have a safety committee meeting.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Full board.
But, Mr. Chairman, why wouldn't the chief of staff invite the police chief? That's what I requested. That's the proper order. So my invitation, my idea is not good, but his is. I mean, that's politics. That's political. Just to get the police chief here, is that what we're doing? You want the credit is because it was my idea? Is that what this is?
police chief is coming to the next meeting, that's it. Yeah, agenda item number 10, there is no new business.
We got to vote on it. Let's vote, because he might not show up.
There is nothing to vote. There's nothing to vote on. The chief is being invited to the next meeting. There's no vote
All right,
necessary.
I'm going to invite him too. I'm going to call him.
Alderman Harla, agenda item number 11.
Agenda number 11, excuse me, refunds list, consideration of refunds in the amount of $27,934.36, excuse me.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, number 10, budget memo transfers. There are budget memo transfers, items 9 and 10. 1005, 2812.
I'm sorry, I got a different, I'm sorry, I skipped over one. Agenda item number 10, budget memo transfers. Alderman Harla.
Agenda item number 10, budget memo transfers. Budget memo transfers number 9 and number 10, funds 1005 and 2812.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 11, refunds list. Consideration of refunds in the amount of...
We got that ready. We're good.
Go ahead. Refunds in the amount of $27,934.36.
We're good. We already passed it. Item's already been passed.
Agenda item number 12, moving on to refunds. Agenda item, Alderman Harla, 11A.
11A, refunds list. Nope, we already passed that. We're good.
Sorry, 12.
Standing committees.
Agenda item number 13, standing committees. Is there any standing committee reports? Seeing none. Agenda item number 14, any special committee reports? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.